Yes, guys, and welcome to episode 3 of the Weekly Roundup now, presented by myself, fitness underscore crypto. Yeah, we've got socials this week for you guys. Started a TikTok, so I thought I'd quickly plug that at the start. And obviously joined by the main man himself, Crypto Insight UK again.
That's me. That's me.
That's
Go and follow his TikTok if you don't already, and also follow
yeah,
mine if you don't already. If you don't, then
yeah,
you're a
come on.
snake. So come on now. But yeah,
Right then.
nice to see you again this week.
Yeah,
The main man Pav and your new handle fitness
I
underscore
know.
crypto.
Fitness underscore crypto started it, guys. We've actually finally
If you
started that.
if you get over to his TikTok now, you can be in his first 100 followers. How many are you up to?
I'm easily 53, but
Hey,
a good 53.
53. It's
Start
53
somewhere.
people watching your content, my
Got to
bro.
start somewhere, mate. You've got to start somewhere.
So if you want to be in the first 100 followers following Fitness Crypto, get over there on TikTok.
Come on,
Drop
guys.
some
You
bangers
know
this
you want to
week.
follow it.
I've watched every video.
Gonna get some fitness clips up there as well soon.
Love to see it.
Mix it up.
Yep.
Nice little channel going on there. So yeah, follow it up, guys. But yeah, we're back again. Bit of news for you guys.
A lot of news.
There's a bit more, bit more news this week than
Mm.
last week, but so we've come a bit more prepared for you guys. And we'll start off with, again, arguably the biggest topic of today, and that's the Central African Republic adopts Bitcoin as an official currency. So
Jeez.
that's another one.
Another one.
Another
It,
one has decided to join.
it's mad, isn't it? Like, think about a year and a half ago if you said, oh, two
Yeah,
countries are going to be using Bitcoin as legal tender.
I probably wouldn't have thought that. When we first got into it, I wouldn't
Mm.
have said like two countries would have it as legal tender as quick as it has.
Yeah.
There's no way.
The question is like, do you think this just opens the floodgates? How many people do you think are sitting on the sidelines? Like some countries with like unstable currencies, like um, uh, what would you say, like Turkey, Argentina, these sorts
Yeah,
of
a
countries
lot of
sitting,
South Americans.
yeah, just sitting on the sidelines, like Panama. These boys just thinking, "Oh, is it time? Do we press the button?" The only thing that they've
Yeah,
obviously got pressure wise is like World Economic Forum and the World Bank, like say, "Oh, don't do it" or whatever. But like when your currency
yeah,
is depreciating big time against the dollar, like what other choice do you really have?
yeah. That's what I mean. And as things are currently going right now in like the world and the economy is in general, you're gonna more countries are going to be inclined to do what Central African Republic have done and
Mm.
just do it. Especially when there's now two countries, people are going to feel a lot more comfortable taking that leap of faith, aren't they? Really to adopt it, in my opinion. And I think we'll see a few more next year. Honestly, I think we'll get a couple more next year. Maybe one at the end of this year. Who knows?
I think we may get a couple that more this year because one thing that people, it's not like an and like this or this. It's kind of like both. It's like, oh, we'll just bring it in as a legal tender, but we're not
Yeah.
getting rid of everything else. We'll have another thing if people want to diversify a bit more into that.
Yeah, so I don't know what does it mean though as legal tender. So obviously shops and that they can accept Bitcoin
Mm,
now if someone
mm,
offers Bitcoin, but obviously they still have their native currency as well,
yeah,
which is still operation and still working order. So it's not like they're working alongside each other.
yeah,
It's not they've
exactly.
not just scrapped it and just bought in Bitcoin. They're doing what I also haven't done the same. I
Yeah,
think they've
yeah,
done the
that's
same,
what
haven't
El
they? So
Salvador are doing as well.
they're still got both, and they're just living in a world where both coexist, which is the direction I think a lot of countries will take initially
Yeah, what you
instead
got
of
to
going for the
think
full switch.
is like a lot of these countries with unstable currencies often accept the dollar anyway. So like you can go into a shop in those countries and give over dollars if that's what you wanted to do. So
Yeah. So,
it's a
like you said, there are
addition.
even like Vietnam does that as well, I think, don't they?
Yeah, a
No,
lot a lot of a lot of countries do that.
so,
You'll find a lot of
there's
countries around the
loads.
world with less stable currencies will accept the dollar because everyone can use that dollar anywhere else they'd
Yeah,
like.
that's what I mean. So yeah, that's pretty big news. Came pretty early on in the week,
Mm.
and like you said, I think we're going to see like you said, the floodgates open, and more people will be joining now. 100%. I don't see why not. If it's working, if two countries can show that it works, a lot of people. That's probably what a lot of people are waiting for, don't you think? Just to kind of see how these countries deal with it initially, if they can actually do the switch successfully, and then they go.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of countries are like waiting to see if like I don't know, like the house falls down if they implement Bitcoin. But why would it
Exactly.
when they're not like completely changing their currency? They're just giving like another method for both their like citizens, but also for like central banks to be holding something that they can just like hedge against inflation, both of their own currency and that of maybe the dollar as well.
let's see. Time
It's
will tell.
it's
Time will tell. But that's
it's a
huge. It's
big
big
one.
news.
It's a
It is
big
a bit.
one,
It
bro.
is big news. I know it doesn't sound very gas, but it's just what
It's
else can we
huge, man.
say?
Like,
It's huge.
if you think about it as well, like when have we last had the introduction of a new currency, like a international currency, and like just two countries start to randomly adopt something?
Mm.
I,
Obviously, we've not seen it in our lifetime, have we? And
Probably never
I didn't.
since gold was
Yeah,
invented, bro.
exactly. Exactly. It's a big deal. It's a big shift. It's a big change. But it's the future, man.
It's the
It's
future.
the only way to put it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't mean
So
invented. I just meant implemented.
yeah.
But yeah,
Okay. Let's move on
let's get
to the
it.
next bit of news, and it concerns Brazil.
Brazil.
So they're basically just trying to start the process of regulating cryptocurrency. So they're starting to pass certain laws, draft certain laws, just like you see in obviously America now, what they're working towards. You're seeing a lot of other countries also dive into the legislation part of crypto and trying to regulate it. So they're ready. That's what it is now. It's like what we were speaking about like last week and the week
Mm-hmm.
before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a big race. So obviously you can't just bring everything in without regulation. So I think that's the first port of call that a lot of countries are doing now. And obviously now we can see Brazil
Yeah,
getting stuck in.
and they've passed their bill in the Senate, so I think it's law now, is it, that they
Yeah,
have some sort of regulations on crypto,
that's the
um,
first bill.
and I'm pretty sure in some countries in Brazil, in some cities in Brazil, like in Rio, you can pay your taxes in crypto, like Bitcoin. You get like maybe a tax discount, like 10% tax discount if you pay your taxes in the old Bitcoin over there
Oh,
in Rio.
pity.
Good old Bitty.
Yeah,
But
that's my. I didn't even know that. To be fair.
yes, that's another one I think. So again, though, it's another country that could have potential instability with their currency themselves. And like we saw the IMF talk about this week, like if you have already a debasing currency and the world reserve currency that you're comparing that to is like sucking in liquidity, it makes your currency debasement twice as bad. So you need some sort of stable like backbone to it. So Bitcoin's such an easy answer because it's so accessible. Like
Mm,
if you want to be like protecting yourself as a citizen, how are you can't really get access to gold very easily in many countries. It's not like you can
no.
just switch your computer on and get gold. I know you can, but that's like paper gold, and even then, like we're having paper gold issues anyway. So you're not actually got full protection. But with Bitcoin, you've got your own custody for the actual asset that you're holding as well. If you buy that.
Yeah, I mean, would you be surprised if you saw Brazil come out and if they came out and said, "Okay, we're taking up Bitcoin as legal tender"? That'd be
No,
huge news, wouldn't
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. They've got a big GDP there. I'm not sure exactly how
it?
big, but
Yeah,
they're
maybe
quite
not
over
immediate, but like maybe like obviously in the
there.
near future.
Yeah.
I think this could be one of the first big countries, big economies that picks it up.
Well, I've got a
In
question
my
for you then.
opinion.
In regards to
Funny.
that, so which country, if you had to pick one now, what's the next country to adopt Bitcoin as
Oh,
legal tender?
well, isn't it? It wasn't Panama kind of umming and ahhing about it not so
Yeah,
long ago.
they were.
So I'd have to say them. I think the next one's going to be another small country.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so. And
Oh,
then the big ones start jumping in. But who knows? And anyone could be doing it now. It could be already in the pipeline for even Brazil. What do we know really? What's going on
I
behind the
think
scenes?
yeah, I think it'll be a Central or South American. So Panama's in the right place, in the right area. I think I'm gonna go for Mexico though.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna have a bigger country come through.
Mexico.
Yeah,
That's a big
go
one.
for a Mexico or an Argentina, bro. And then
It
now
could
an
be.
outside
It could
chance on
be.
Turkey. There you go.
Turkey, yeah, Turkey. It wasn't Turkey, obviously. They're struggling a lot at the moment, aren't they?
Mm. Yeah,
So
but
it could be anyone.
I feel like it sounds like it's a big call for a country like that, but I don't really think it is anymore. I think people just like
Mm,
no one really cares. It's like yeah, get it in.
That's what I mean. I feel like it's becoming a lot more like normalized now, isn't it? Crypto in general. It's not like a lot less people are frowning upon it because before people would turn their nose up saying it's a scam, whatever. But obviously now there's a lot more information out there. People are becoming a lot more educated about the whole thing. So
Yeah, and I think that the one thing that may like countries worry about if they are going to start to legalize that as a currency is that it might tarnish their relationship with the US. That's one thing I
yeah,
think that they really like. Oh, if we
well,
do that, are we going to like tarnish our trade deals? Are they going to want to lend us credit if we have issues? Like all these sorts of things. Are they going to ask us to pay back their debt like instantly? Like what happens when all these
that's
things
true.
happen? I think that's like the main backstop for it. But as it starts
So
to get more and more accepted, what choice do the US really have?
exactly. I mean, do you think on that note then, do you think these bigger countries are waiting for the USA to kind of get their framework in order so they can kind of make decisions on that?
Yeah, maybe because I don't think there's a big negative behind like accepting cryptocurrencies as legal tender. The only real thing behind it that like obviously is an issue is taxes. Um, because if some countries don't tax the same way or whatever, and you can just bring out whatever money you make abroad or crypto you make abroad and bring that straight out and have no like real tax system for it, that's when it could really damage their economy.
Mm.
But other than that, like as soon as that sort of thing comes in, and again though, that's well tricky for different countries because everything's becoming so like borderless nowadays. So easy for me to like travel abroad. So easy for me to get a job anywhere around the world and be paid like from their bank account to mine. Or as recently as what we've talked about, one of our friends has just got a job with a crypto company and he's being paid in like USDT and he's living in like Saudi Arabia at the minute. That company is based in Canada, but he's English. Like it's that really like
Yeah, I know
shows
that
how
illustrates
easy.
it.
Yeah, show how easy it is. So what I'm saying by that is if you don't have tax like laws in place, it's going to damage your economy. But if your tax laws are too harsh, why would anyone go and settle there when you can just be paid the same amount and live somewhere else? And we don't have any issue from free travel nowadays. You want to attract like entrepreneurs and new minds. So it's a tricky game for all these countries to be playing. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that world's that far away in terms of where it's going to be. There's going to be no barriers. It will just kind of flow really freely. So,
Mm. Yeah.
especially like if we have like a big economic collapse, which everyone's kind of calling for,
Mm.
as and when that happens, it could be the perfect time to introduce something like that, couldn't it? So
Definitely.
everyone's getting their laws in place. I think they're ready for it.
100%, and a great way to rebuild. Like if you're any kind of economy like that's struggling or have like a big event that makes you struggle a lot, what better way to bring innovation to your country than be like, and oh, there's no tax or 1% tax on any capital gains that you make on crypto. Any decent country that does something like that, like everyone's just going to flock there.
That's what I mean. The clever ones will do that, and like I said, you'll 100% see big countries
Mm.
picking up on that and doing like you said there, giving those low percentages on capital gains. So I think whoever does it first will get all the crypto people kind of going there to get less tax, obviously, 'cause that's what everyone's aim
Yeah,
is, isn't
that's
it?
my tactic, bro. Don't cash out until you see somewhere decent. See,
Yeah,
no taxes here. I'll be like, yep, see you in a bit, lads.
yeah. So Australia, yeah, cool. Let me go there. Been waiting for that news. But yeah, honestly, I don't see that being too far away, if I'm honest.
No, I don't. I think that we'll see. I think we'll see one or two countries this year. What we in April? One or two more countries this year. And if we
Mm.
get a big one, then I think that everyone will start like not panicking. Like the US will start being like, "Oh God, like we need to do something about this," and it's going to really speed them up. But like, as we saw and talked about last week with Susan Friedman talking about EU regulation, if that starts to come in now, we might even see some European countries start to do it.
Yeah,
Depending
that'll
on
be a
what,
big one.
yeah, depending on what that framework's saying. Like as we were saying, Turkey. I don't think they are in the EU, but I'm not sure. But if they're in and around that sort, there's probably a lot of trade deals there. Um,
Exactly.
so we'll see what goes on there. It's an exciting time. It's an exciting
Yeah,
time.
there's a lot going on. There's a lot to keep your eye on. So
Is Turkey in
I'm
Europe?
sure. I think didn't they want to join? There was a big hoo-ha about it, or
I don't know.
did they join in it? I'm not too sure. Not geography wasn't my strongest topic, if I'm honest with you. So
No,
I'm
me neither.
not too sure about that one, mate. But we'll swiftly move on to the
Swift,
next
swiftly. Is that a pun?
Swift. Swift. It wasn't, but it was. Okay, so we've got optimism for the US spot Bitcoin ETF grows with the approval of. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. Do you want to try and pronounce that first?
Teucrium.
Two two Korean futures fund. Basically, a futures fund has got approved by the SEC. But what's different about this one, as you can see here, and the reason why it gives like a lot of other companies, these big investment funds, a bit of excitement that they can get their spot ETF approved, is that these guys actually filed this one under different acts. Now, I'm not too sure what these acts are. I'm no specialist when it comes to like law or anything like that.
Hmm.
But I think these guys filed under Acts 33 and 34, opposed to Act 40, which is normally what people kind of file it under.
Hmm.
But what's good about those two acts is that it has more protection for investors, which obviously is what the SEC is supposedly all about.
Ah,
So that's why that sparked a bit of interest because this one kind of got accepted without a batter of an eyelid from the SEC. So we could
interesting.
see, so, and people were relating it to Grayscale and obviously how Grayscale are trying to get their spot Bitcoin ETF sorted, and obviously they're going to put an application in July, aren't they? I think it's
Yeah,
July.
yeah.
I made a TikTok about it, so go check my TikTok. Um, yeah, so and then that kind of leads us on to another thing, which
Hmm.
I've not opened a tab for because
Which
but there are articles about it,
which is
and Grayscale kind of I don't know if it was someone in Grayscale, but people are hinting that if their application for that spot ETF gets denied,
hmm
they're going to go after the SEC. They're
yeah.
going to file a lawsuit against the SEC, join this long list of people who dislike the SEC, and they're also going to try and go after them, just like
Yeah,
Elon.
and I think that that's very important. Obviously, they if they file some sort of lawsuit against the SEC, I think what it shows is I think they are like filing these spot ETF applications and getting rejected, but the SEC aren't saying why they're getting rejected. They're just like, yeah, no, you can't have it. So how can you do that, like, and still say you're encouraging innovation? You can't be encouraging innovation if you're not saying, okay, this is the reason why because you haven't done this, this, and this. That's the only way you should be rejecting something in any kind of innovation cultivating society, surely. But the SEC just seem to be just snubbing everything to do with like anything crypto, really. So
Yeah,
we might see it.
but I think we will see it because I think what else can they do? They can't really. What if they do file it under these new acts, especially? They kind of don't really have a leg to stand on in terms of like rejecting that spot ETF because if these new acts negate these concerns that the SEC have that the
Mm.
consumer investors they're not protected, then why would they file it under these new acts? So I don't know. It's another interesting topic that obviously I'm sure will be well publicized, so you'll be able to keep up with it. But I can't see them denying this spot ETF. It's time now. These guys have been waiting for so long, and the SEC are just not providing clarity again.
Mm.
So it's a bit frustrating
Yeah,
for us and for them.
and there's a lot of heat on the SEC at the minute. There's a lot of heat and eyes. Like I feel like more and more eyes keep opening up to like what's going on with the SEC. And I guess we're going to talk about something to do with Ripple again in a minute. So we'll get to that in a second, shall we?
Yeah.
But
But yeah,
yeah,
that's another thing. We'll obviously keep you posted on that. But another thing is on that actually. Do you think obviously these new laws that are getting passed in America? Do you think we'll see a lot of spot ETFs get approved after those laws, or do you think will these guys actually have a chance in July before those bills are actually like passed and everything, etc.?
I think we'll get one first. I think we'll get a spot ETF soon because I feel like everyone's starting to open their eyes, and I think America realise that they're a bit behind the curve at the minute, and they've got
Yeah,
to do
massively.
something to just to stay in the game. Really, like they've got to say,
Mm.
okay, like at the minute they're looking like, oh, okay, no, no, no to crypto. Then we've had the executive order come out saying, okay, look, we're open to it, but then to then say we're open to it and then keep snubbing things out for no reason, I think we're very close to getting something like that approved. We also heard like Raoul Pal say that he'd heard through back doors and like rumors that there was one that was going to be approved soon, and like these guys who are at that sort of level who are behind closed doors meetings, they normally know before like way before things are going to happen. And there was an article or something that I saw today, but we haven't actually brought it up. We can talk about it next week more in depth. I think it'll probably come into more of a story then. Which is like I think some people from the CFTC have filed something that is trying to take some of the crypto strength away from the SEC. So
Mm.
we can talk about that a bit next week. But that's another
Yeah.
thing that I think will put pressure on the SEC to be saying, okay, look, we do need to do something, otherwise we're going to lose complete like control completely here.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And again, this topic here, which we'll again go on to when Brad goes on Bloomberg, I'm pretty sure he made a sly comment in there as well, saying that the
Mm.
other side obviously a lot more it applies for them to take over it opposed to the SEC. So
Yeah.
it's not just an opinion of a few; it's an opinion of a lot of people who obviously know what they're talking about. So again,
Yeah.
that's a funny one, but I
I,
think you are right there.
Actually, another thing was that what's his name, Mark Cuban and Elon Musk both put in some sort of at least an article, if not a suit themselves this week about the SEC's gag rule, which is like where if the
Yeah,
SEC have like taken you to court or to trial, and you've lost or won, you're not allowed to talk about why, and you're not allowed to talk about what happened during that case. It basically means the SEC can say and do what they want, and you can never talk about it. Otherwise, you're doing something wrong, basically.
So are they what were they trying to get that scrapped or? 'Cause that doesn't sound like it should be legal.
No, I know. I just think they're bringing attention to it. I'm not sure if there's anything's materialised from that yet, but there's been a lot of talk about it, and obviously I'd never even heard of it before they brought that to the light. So it's at least working to bring attention to it. So it's just a bit of a it just seems like I don't really know how there's a regulator. I don't even want to get into it because I'll just be here all day. But I don't know how there's a regulator doing something like that. Like I feel like it's the opposite of what a regulator should be doing.
Yeah, literally, bang on is. It literally is. They just contradict themselves all the time, which is something a regulator should not be done. A regulator should not be ever found contradicting themselves, because that means they're not sticking to their guidance that they've brought out. So
there isn't any guidance.
It's crazy. Yeah, exactly. They don't know what they're doing, mate. So we all know that by now. But someone who does know what they're doing is this guy.
Oh my god! But what is he doing? That's the question, man.
No one knows what he's doing.
That is the question.
He's fully bought Twitter now. So obviously, when we were talking about it week before, he was only had a certain percentage, but now he's gone for the whole shebang and put down $44 billion or thereabouts to buy the whole of the Twitter platform. And God knows, yeah, it's a lot of money. That is, it's a lot of money. And obviously, the Tesla stock took a bit of a hit from that, because a lot of people were kind of speculating that he may have to reduce his position there in order to fund this, which I don't know if there's any substance to that. I don't know if that's true or not, so don't quote me, but there's a lot of talk going around on that.
It's a big one, mate. It's a big one. And the real question is, like, look, it's a lot about free speech, and I get that. But the real question is, one, what he does. Like, what is he going to do? Even in regards to free speech, what can you do? And who is that going to annoy? Because I'm sure there will be, obviously, a lot of different policies about what you can and can't say online, because it's fine saying, oh, yeah, let's have free speech. But with that, you've got to be careful that you don't give people a platform to incite, like, hate crimes, all this sort of stuff. So that's very difficult, I think. And two is, what does he actually want? Like, he says that he wants free speech. And he's a wacky guy, and maybe he does, but maybe he doesn't. Like, what else is going to come from this? I speculate he will turn it into some kind of payment system at least. There's obviously speculation, like we talk about, that maybe he implements Doge, the tipping system. But is there going to be more to this than, which I definitely think there will be, than just he's not. I don't think even being who he is, he's spending 44 billion on something just to implement a platform where people can speak freely. Because otherwise, he just create his own for nothing. Surely.
Yeah, I know he's got to profit from it somehow. So I honestly spend time trying to speculate what he's up to, but no one actually knows what Elon's up to.
He's a crazy guy, man.
I don't know. Did you see what he tweeted today?
No.
He was like, his next purchase is going to be Coca-Cola, so he can put cocaine back into it.
What?
he's a bit weird, but I like him. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, and there's definitely going to be some sort of, obviously he's going to join the combine crypto into Twitter. I've no doubt he'll do that fairly soon as well. But in terms of what he's actually after, I don't know. I couldn't tell you guys, unfortunately. I don't have the answer to that question.
Me neither.
But it'll be mad. It'll be crazy, and he's going to totally transform it. And I'm sure he'll do everything that he's planning to do, what he's saying to do. So
crazy.
But yeah, you are right though. He's got to be careful, because there is obviously a really fine line with obviously having freedom of speech, but then saying things you shouldn't really be saying. So I don't know how he's going to control that. Because
if he doesn't control that well, or if he creates a platform where there is literally free speech, that can be shut down by governments around the world. Because if it like incites terrorist organizations, or gives them somewhere to communicate, or somewhere to rally, or all these sorts of things, then that will be the platform gone if he doesn't change the rules. Yeah, because also people ain't going to want to use that platform. I won't want to use a platform that's inciting things like that. So he has to be super careful with how free speech is like interpreted. I'm sure he's got a plan anyway, but we'll keep you updated on that. And moving on to the Bluebird app, to the GOAT himself, to Bloomberg. Obviously they had the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse. I'm sure you guys all know his face by now. And he was on there for about maybe 5 minutes section on, I think it was, but he said quite a lot in those 5 minutes. Big bad Brad. And he's touched on a lot of topics which we've already discussed
this week and last week.
Mhm.
Like one of the first things he opened up with was the fact that obviously the case isn't just about Ripple; it's about the whole crypto space in general. It's
Mhm.
not just an attack at Ripple, which we've been shouting about since day one, and a lot of people have as well. So he said that, and he put a little few slide digs in there at the SEC, which is standard.
Yeah. And
And
he basically said that like it's almost priced in that Ripple have already lost a suit because what else if they do lose, which he's not saying that they will. He's saying that if they did, like what else bad could happen in America? They've already done everything they would do if they had lost the case, like delisted different exchanges, stop them trading inside the US, all these sorts of things. So he's basically saying the only way is up. So he thinks they're obviously going to win the case. That's what he thinks. You saw that by his facial expression when
mm,
the woman said one of their analysts think that they're going to lose. But Brad obviously thinks they're going to win. He wouldn't be taking it this far if he didn't. He will have been offered settlement by now, and he could have just paid the fine. Like the fine is there. It's like what 1.8 billion. If he thought they were going to lose, he'd pay the fine. There's nothing to do with fraud. He'd pay it, get listed, whatever would happen. Okay. But he's not. He thinks that Ripple will win the case. He's obviously willing to, or at least talk in his book about taking it to trial. And he says in this interview, well, it's already like we've lost in the US because what else can they do? We've already listed us from exchanges, stopped us trading, and we can't work with any US companies. So that's already a loss. So it's basically only up from here, is what he's saying.
yeah, and he also said shortly after that, he said that he kind of mentioned that within the countries that he's working with, obviously bar USA because
Hmm.
of what's going on with the SEC, they've employed more people there, they've expanded their whatever they wanted to do there, and what's it, is it called RippleNet? They're obviously the whole cross border thing is eight x since
Uh,
Q1 of last year.
yeah, so he talks about ODL specifically there. So that's like on-demand liquidity, which
Yeah,
does directly leverage XRP. And he said that it's increased 8 times, and it was already valued in the billions before this 8x increase. And one like other stat that he did throw out there is that 95% of his customers were outside the US.
so yeah, I guess it does kind of start implying that look, even without the USA, we're still going to crack on and we're still going to continue to innovate and do whatever they planning to do anyway. So it does make you think though. I can see why people were saying, "Oh, Brad's acting like they've completely lost the case," but like I said in my TikTok, and I think you made one too,
Mm.
about people completely misinterpreting what
Mm.
he said. So
Yeah,
they just got to be careful there.
I've seen misinterpretations from some big YouTube channels, including like Thinking Crypto. He's got like 110,000. I love his perspective on things, but he misinterpreted what Brad's saying. Brad's not saying that he thinks they're going to lose the case. What he said, and it's pretty clear if you do rewatch this clip from him, what he's saying is that even if we do lose, nothing's going to change because we've already been like penalized as if we had when we haven't lost anything right now. Like it's in
Yeah,
dispute and we've been penalized as if we've lost.
yeah, spot on.
So
That's what I'm,
that
go
adds
on.
to my risk to reward in terms of XRP. That's why I've added to my bag today. I've actually added quite a lot to my bag today of
Yep,
XRP.
congrats on that. He has indeed. Can confirm. Yeah, he also did I say that I've already mentioned the fact that he said that America are falling behind. I don't think I said that yet, have I? Because that's
No, you
another
didn't.
topic he touched on.
Yeah.
The a lady who's actually interviewing him asked him like what's going on with America? How far behind are we falling? And he said something quite which is just spot on. Again, I made a TikTok about it. Go watch it. Go follow. He said something along the lines like, "Why would you start a blockchain or crypto
Yeah.
kind of business in a country where there's no clarity, there's no regulation,
Mm.
whereas you can go to people like the UK or any other European or anywhere that's
Like
got clear
Singapore.
legislation? Yeah,
Hmm.
so why would you not go there?"
Yeah.
And
He basically
spot
said
on.
he actively tells like entrepreneurs if they ask him, "Shall we start one here?" He's like, "Nah, go abroad," basically. And he
Yeah,
also says that he loves America. He said that as well. He said like, "Oh, I don't know if this is in this interview, but he's come up recently saying like, oh, I love America, like wear my red and blue stripes on the 4th of July and stuff, but I still think that we're screwed as a country basically. Like if we don't go forwards with
yeah.
some more regulation or some clarity in the space."
Well, he's bang on, and let's see. Time will tell
Time
whether
will
that will
tell.
go. I think it will. I can't. I've said, like I said to you in conversations off camera as well. Like,
Mm.
I can't actively think America are just sitting back and watch everyone else kind of advance. They're not going to let that happen, are they? Let's be honest.
No.
The all the people who are in those big jobs up there are not just going to be sitting there thinking, no, crypto is not going to be the one. We've got big people already saying that, actively saying that crypto is the future. So there's no way they don't have something up their sleeve. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, 100%. And even if you are a big boy who doesn't think crypto is going to be the one, anyone who's got that much capital to allocate will hedge against risk anyway. So they will be starting to add to their portfolio. So you can't just completely like snub it out. There's no way. They've got to. There's a lot of smart people over in America. They were obviously leaders in Web2. I think they are dropping the ball a bit, but I very much doubt that they will drop the ball completely.
No, I think because obviously who America are, they can kind of still turn up late to the party and still probably do really well in it. Obviously because they're America. So I think they know that as well. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're just taking their time.
The party starts when they walk in, innit, Puff?
That's what I mean. So when this framework comes into play and there is regulation, that's when it will start.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the fireworks will start in the market as well.
Hopefully.
And hopefully XRP is priced because we would have had a bit more clarification on that as well.
We'll see.
But, I think one other thing we need to touch on
is the big boy. The biggest chart.
Is this.
Oh my days. Oh, that's a descending trend. Yeah, okay.
That's not what you think it is. This is the one we drew in, actually. I think it was on our first episode. Let me go to the weekly. This is the descending one from the highs.
Has it breached the high at the minute?
So you just basically drew this straight, right?
Yeah.
You try and get it straight.
Oh yeah, sausage dog. It breached it this morning.
It looks
to be hovering just below.
Let me try and get this. I don't have my mouse with me, but I can't really get this. Is that straight? I think that's straight.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, it's pushing it, but you're under the assumption here that it's going to completely go and just kind of go into one of these. I think they're roughly about 13-14% each one is. So
I made a YouTube diving into this topic specifically just before we came on. I just launched it, and basically what I said is we're overbought on the daily RSI, we're overbought on the monthly RSI, we're overbought on the weekly RSI. But to get up to show them. But to get up to some of the previous levels, we have been further overbought, is what I'm saying. So we're at like 70. If you go on I think the weekly is the one I want to look at. Is that the weekly?
This one, yeah.
If you zoom out a little bit to look to your left, maybe a bit more. Yeah, so there, you see how high we get there? We get to up to like 83, 84 on that RSI. Yeah, if you come down to your RSI and then have a look. If we get up to like 80, into the high 80s, what's the highest value we get to there? 88. And at the minute, we're still overbought, but we're on like 79 or something like that. Yeah. So say we're on like 80. So there is still 10% higher we can get on the weekly RSI, but on the monthly RSI we're overbought, and the daily RSI we're also overbought. We're just in the RSI zone, but again, there's a little bit extra that we can hit. So we could, we could actually push a little bit further. Which I think could be a real like shocker for everyone. Everyone's expecting a reversal right here. The RSIs are saying there could be some more space. Obviously, the technicals with the previous highs are saying that, okay, we do reverse here. But I think we could bull trap people here. We've got people probably shorting right now. We could have a little short squeeze, push us up high into this RSI, and then there'll be exhaustion. We've topped out on the RSI as well, and then we'll start to come down. Everyone who's gone long and bullish will get liquidated there, and boom, we start to really retrace faster. So I think there's two possible scenarios at play here, or three. Like, obviously we could keep ripping. We're in an environment that we haven't been in before, or we haven't been in for a long time, where all of the currencies are pretty crap as well. So we could keep pushing. There's definitely an option for that, but we are going parabolic, and often when you see something go parabolic, it has to cool off at some point. It's just when that cool off period is going to be. So in my video I said within days, weeks, or maybe a month or so, I think we'll have topped on this. And if we can hold the levels that we're at crypto wise until then I think that's when we see an alt season. After that, I think we start to see things really heat up in the crypto market on the retracement of the DXY. That's my thought process on it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the same as well. Everyone should be having their eyes on this, because like you said, that's going to give Bitcoin the green light, and hopefully alt season the green light. But I think we're probably going to be trading sideways to max out this RSI probably for the next week or so. Do you know what I mean? So at this specific range, which should give enough time for that RSI to bump up another notch to that 83. I think you said. As soon as it hits that, I think it's got to, bro. Because you got look at these candles.
Yeah, I know. It's a mad.
Nothing like
The
that just
last week. Look at the
continues.
last week. What is that? It's mad.
For the DXY, it's mad. I think I measured it not so long ago. About 5%, I think it is. No, it's not even 5%, 2.6%.
It's a big.
It's a lot for
candles.
the DXY. Sorry, that's a lot. That's a big move.
We've had a big move in a short space of time. Even from like when's that, like 3 or 4 days ago. We've pushed all the way up from.
If you look,
from there.
This is weekly.
When is that? Oh, just a week.
Yeah, so that's early April. So if you look at early April till
to have gained
now
5% dollar strength. So what you got
to
to think, like what that actually means is like that's a 5% gain in the dollar, but that's obviously a 5% loss in like every other currency in the world almost.
That's what I mean.
Or on average, obviously.
And they're probably struggling more, so it's probably a lot more than 5%. Obviously, it's crazy. A lot of countries are struggling at the moment, which is why they're adopting Bitcoin as legal tender, which is why they're sorting out all their framework ready to jump in. This is why.
Yeah, we saw China's the government in China basically came out and said that the equities are at bottom now because they're not going to let them drop any further. So maybe that strengthens Chinese markets. Maybe means that the Fed have to like loosen their grip a little bit. But also we have seen that in doubling up with supply chain issues because we've got lockdown still in China. So it's an absolute. It's such a minefield to try and predict anything with the Japanese yens also taking a beating. So it's a minefield in terms of trying to trade forex, trying to trade commodities, trying to trade equities. But what this chart is saying is that at some point soon, like the DXY's got to cool off. It has to. We don't know when soon is. Soon might be. It could completely go nuts for another month, and it could be up to like 100. On the RSI, like I think there's a possibility that could happen because everything else is in such a fragile state, there is a possibility for that. There's just as much of a possibility we cool off in and around here, but it will cool off at some point because nothing goes up in a straight line.
Yeah, nothing does go up in a straight line, but just expect the unexpected. And everything that's going on, like we keep saying, I think there's a lot of uncertainty everywhere, not just within crypto or this market or that market, everywhere. Even like people who are trading DXY and like things that if their sector's going up, they're still a bit really uncertain because they know anything can happen in this time. So
yeah, and so something I also want to say on top of that is that so obviously we've seen the 2-year and 10-year treasuries break out of their 20-year like trend, which this apparently indicates that something's going to break somewhere. We don't know when, but it's normally 6 to 12 months when we start to see that. But one extra thing that you talked about there is that expect the unexpected. And I think a lot of people, especially in the crypto market at the minute, are calling bear. I'd say, actually, I might put a poll out on Twitter and say, like, how many people think we're going to be bearish now and how many people think we're going to be bullish. And it is always biased because I always give my opinion. So people who follow me maybe have a similar opinion to me. But I think a majority of the market are screaming for a bear right now. I really, really do.
100%.
And often, when a retailer ever right, seriously.
I got opposite. Always the opposite.
Buy the fear, man. Buy the fear. That's my non-financial advice. Buy the fear.
Yeah, like whenever you like, even just if you take the fear and go in index off your screen or whatever, and you just go on your emotion now. Whenever you felt this like fearful about the market, it's when Bitcoin's hit lows. It's when it was like, when was it? Back in not even back there. Sorry, I forgot I was on a weekly, but like, even like. I have to zoom in a lot here. Like May last year, when we saw this massive drop down here to like the low 30s, this secondary drop there. That's how I personally feel back when Bitcoin was at those prices. Sorry, doing it all by my hand. It's quite hard. Don't have a mouse. But like here especially.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like we are now. But we're on a 40k Bitcoin. So
yeah. But I think that shows the like maturation of the market a little bit more as well. Like we're pricing, we're almost like in a bearish divergence. Like where the fear and greed index is like low or like very fearful, but the price is still pretty high. So that's kind of like a divergence. I think we're still waiting for a euphoric moment. We haven't seen a blow off top. We can see that in loads of different indicators. I think maybe it comes for Bitcoin, maybe it doesn't. But either way, I think we get an alt season here. I think we see a rally of the altcoins, and that's what I'm looking for, specifically being a 99% XRP holder. That's what I'm hoping for as well, bro. Like, and yeah, there's some bias in there. There's some bias in there, but I'm eating up fear. Like, whenever I see fear, I'm just like, yeah, I'm buying today. If I go on Twitter and I put posts out there, or I post anywhere and people are all over it with bearish comments, I'm thinking, yeah, this is the time to be buying, for me personally, anyway. And it's not like an instant. It doesn't mean like tomorrow is going to be green or next week is going to be green. It just means that over time, I think we'll go green, because normally that happens to retail investors, unfortunately.
Yeah, it literally does. It literally does. We're talking from experience here, guys, and we've been stung before, but that's how people learn, and that's how we see these blow off tops happen, because then everyone will start thinking they got late to it, and then FOMO, everything starts kicking in, just like it did over here.
Yeah.
When we start to see this rise, people are like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah,
but time will tell.
When we start to rally is when people jump in, and these are where the big percentages are made. If you're buying at, if we use XRP for example, if you're buying at like 60 odd cent, and we do rally up to my sort of price targets, which I'm open about, I think we're going to top out in and around $10 to $15. If you're buying here, the percentages are massive. But if you're buying at $3, $4, $5, you're chasing 100%, you're chasing 200%, and you're like, oh, okay, like I'm going to FOMO into that. But you're only chasing 100%, 200%, which obviously isn't anything to scoff at. But like down here, if you're buying here, you're chasing like 1,500, 2,000% if we hit those price targets, and that's the difference between like, well, making a shitload of money and just making a little bit of money, I guess.
Spot on.
Buy the fear.
Spot on. Exactly. Yeah. Buy the fear.
And is there anything you want to say to wrap this episode up then?
I think that's it.
Fitness_crypto on TikTok.
Yeah, I know, mate. It's been a long day, and we spoke about a lot today as well. But I think that's about it. I think we've covered everything that we needed to cover.
Yeah.
Bit of a market update at the end for you guys as well, which we'll try and do every week. Nothing too in depth, just let you know what our thoughts are. Yeah,
I think for me, I'm looking to the future. I think it could be choppy for the next week or so, but at some point, I think we'll have what I think will happen is we'll just see a fat green candle, and it will take us out of this zone. I don't know when that'll be, but I think that'll happen. Something like that. Yeah, I think we'll see something along those lines.
That's what it'll look like, guys. If you're wondering, it's not going to look like the DXY is looking now when it's just slow. Yeah, when Bitcoin / not even just Bitcoin, if you're talking about alts, if you think alt season's happening, they are big not red candles, big green candles.
Yeah, and you see that because there's so much bearish pressure, people start opening loads of shorts, and if we get some short liquidations, and that's when you see a short squeeze and start to pop us out of the zone, and then people jump on that FOMO, and boom, we're out of that section. And you know what happens really, really quick is people forget that we were in this time period.
Yeah, I know. Just it's like I said, it's like just like we were then. There, so like when we got out of this range of the 50s and we got up to like the $1.20s, even myself, you just completely forget. Oh, like a month ago, you were worrying so much about being in such a crucial zone. But then when you're up there, it's almost as if it didn't happen. This is going to be one of those situations, in my opinion, anyway, like that.
And yeah, just to finish off, I know we've been talking in a while now, but that's how the psychology is really hard, and you have to experience it to be able to buy at these levels. I think because when you start to get up to 120, what you're thinking is, oh, let's just top up because it's going to keep going. And I obviously do have my price targets where I do, but these are the prices where you really want to just be topping up your bags, in my opinion. If you're looking to hold long term, or even if you think that we will have some positive price action, these are the areas. You don't want to be... I know a lot of people say, oh, wait for confirmation on breakouts. And if you leverage trading, then maybe. But if you're looking to be a swing trader or just hold for a longer period, like you need to be topping up when the risk to rewards really, really in your favour. And right now, in my opinion, it is.
Agreed. Jay, agree. But I think that's it for this week.
Episode 3.
Episode 3 done and dusted. For next week, we were meant to have a guest on today, but my bad because timings just didn't line up this week. But he's obviously a busy guy as well, so
we'll have one next week.
Hopefully we'll get him on next week. We'll try and rearrange.
We'll have a guest on next week. Let's do it.
Let's get a guest on for the month anniversary.
Let's get it.
Cool. But peace out. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for tuning in, everybody.
Follow my TikTok.
Follow us TikTok. Follow my socials at Crypto Insight UK. Follow at fitness_crypto. And thank you for tuning in. for episode 3 of the Weekly Roundup. We'll see you next week.